Greetings and welcome back to Backyard Astronomy with Gemini Brett. It is 8:58 p.m. on Moon Day, Monday, September 9th, 2024, and I'm recording from my backyard in Richmond, California. Alright, so we are a week from new moon, and you can see the shape of Moon's phase in the thumbnail for this video. Moon is currently 78 degrees away from the sun. The 80 twice 40 is the binovile. We're getting close to 90, right? With Moon moving on average 13 degrees per day, of course we should expect to see the opening square of the cycle, the waxing half moon, tomorrow. 78 plus 13 being 91, right? So, be here for the moon on the square to the sun tomorrow on this very channel of Following the Moon. But what to talk about today, continuing this theme of Moon is so low. In fact, now she is so far south that she is out of bounds. So let me say a little bit about what that means and then go to bed. Okay, over here on the right of your frame is Zubinel Janubi, Zubinel Shimali, right? So the scales. Here, typically these days, these are drawn as like the front of the scorpion. A crab, Dashuba or Garafsa, and Grapheus. Garafsa is a different star. A crab, Grapheus or Dashuba, and Fang. Right, and you can see the moon is so close to Fang right now. With these, mark 3 degrees tropical Sagittarius. So moon is so close. I mean, I can barely put an index finger between the two, which means a degree away. That tells me that the moon's currently at 4 degrees tropical Sagittarius. The chart says 5.5, all right? So one of the issues with not being able to measure the sky so well there is that the moon is very far from the ecliptic plane, which comes through Zubinel Janubi. It is south of A crab. It's about 4.5 degrees north of the royal star Antares, the scorpion's heart here. And then it's going to continue up through, here's Grapheus, and up through north of Caus Borealis, the star of the archer's bow. Okay, so when the moon is so far from the ecliptic plane, we have to draw a perpendicular line up to it, and that has me drawing this way to be perpendicular to the ecliptic here, or this way. It's just like really hard to tell. So it's good to get to know the stars that are close to the ecliptic plane. A crab is the one of these three that is most close, so that's the path of the sun. But as we've been discussing the last couple of nights, the moon is not tied to that ecliptic. She has her own path. She snakes north and south of the ecliptic plane. And every month, moon gets 5 degrees south of the ecliptic. It's getting close to that now. South node's in Libra. The southern bending, where the moon will be most south of the ecliptic, is therefore in early Capricorn. So with moon now in early Sagittarius, we can expect to see that in, well, 2.5 days. The moon on average spends like 2.3 days in a sign. Right now we are 1 week removed from new moon time, which was on Moon Day last week in the sign of Virgo. This is a Sagittarius moon reflecting Virgo lights to our eyes, as it will be tomorrow. Virgo, Sagittarius, both mutable signs, and therefore a square exists between them. The moon right now, according to Moon app, 7.3 days old, meaning the moon-sun conjunction of the new moon was 7.3 days ago. And the moon is currently 39.5% illuminated. I know that's not how it appears on this particular image, because this camera takes in a lot of light so we can see the stars. Okay. Well, what does out of bounds mean? Out of bounds is the distance south of the equator. Okay, so the celestial equator is Earth's equator which is the plane of our daily rotation, the plane of the day. The celestial equator is simply our Earth's equator projected into space. And the celestial equator comes way above the zone that we're looking at here. It's like, oh, you know, there's so many clouds, it's kind of hard to show, but it's like, it's up here, okay? And is that even on your screen? It's not. It's like up above your screen. And so right now we're well south of the equator. Well, of course we are, because Scorpio, where we've seen the moon, now into Sagittarius. Like Sagittarius and Capricorn are the most southern signs. They are the signs of the greatest south declination, meaning south of the equator. The Tropic of Capricorn, 0 degrees tropical Capricorn, that is the degree that is most south of the equator. So when Sun gets to 0 Capricorn, it is furthest from the northern hemisphere and therefore lowest in northern hemisphere skies. Of course, the opposite is true in Australia, right? Where Capricorn is high and Cancer is low. Okay, so the furthest south of the equator the Sun can go is the Tropic of Capricorn, which is like 23.5 degrees south declination, 23.5 degrees south of the equator. That's our tilt angle, right? It's really like 23.44 degrees or 23 degrees, 26 minutes and 17 seconds. All right. In our day and age, that tilt angle of Earth changes slightly over time, and I'm getting way too technical here. The point I want to make right now is the moon has a declination that is further south of the Tropic of Capricorn. This is called out of bounds. So right now the moon has a declination of 25.5 degrees south. She's 25.5 degrees south of the equator. Why? Because she's in a super southern sign, Sagittarius and Capricorn being the most southern sign. Sagittarius takes us to the southern extreme. We get to the tropics. Tropikos is Greek for turnaround. And Capricorn's like, okay, get back to business. You know, you have responsibilities, back to the tribe, right? So Sagittarius and Capricorn, and I'm talking tropical zodiac, Earth zodiac, the directional zodiac, and the declination-based zodiac, they are the signs that are most south of Earth's equator. And because the moon adds her distance south of the ecliptic to this general zone of the zodiacs, already southness, south of the equator, moon is now out of bounds. She is in a place that is further south than the Sun could even dream to go. And as the moon continues waxing through the sign of Sagittarius tomorrow, and like the next day, and then into Capricorn, when the moon reaches the Tropic of Capricorn, especially now with her south node in early Libra, the southern bending where moon is most south of the ecliptic, was in early Capricorn. Well, that's already the degree of the zodiac, 0 Capricorn, that is most south of the equator, the degree of the zodiac that has the greatest south declination. So when we add moon's southern latitude, her distance south of the ecliptic, 2 degrees of the Sun's path, the ecliptic, that are already extremely south of the equator, we get the moon out of bounds south. And in the southern hemisphere sky, that means really high, like higher than the Sun could ever go. In the northern hemisphere sky, it means really low. So the midday sun at Capricorn solstice time, of course, is the lowest altitude midday sun of the year. The moon's taking an even lower path in northern hemisphere skies right now. She's out of bounds. So let me move you over here. Walk with me. Walk with me. Walk with me. Okay, let's see if I can show you. I think it might have to be through the fence when we're looking from here. Yeah, okay, so let me take you a little further. Walk with me. Walk with me. Walk with me. And let me drop you down a little bit more. Drop with me. Okay. This I call Solstice Hill. Okay, that I call like a lavender bush. But back beyond, I'm pointing the laser at Solstice Hill, and I probably shouldn't do that so much because there's cows up there. But that is where the solstice sunset, where the sun sets at Capricorn solstice. And tonight the moon will set further south, which is this way towards my tree, towards that tree, than the sun ever can. And that's one of the ways to know when the moon is out of bounds. You will either, as in this case, with the moon out of bounds south, rise further south of east than sun does, climb to a lower altitude than sun ever can, and set further south of west than sun ever does. And that's northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, still rising further south than the sun ever can, but climbing to a greater height than the sun ever can, and then setting further south of west than the sun ever can. The general global truth is south, extreme south. And in a couple weeks, when the moon gets to her northern bending in Cancer, the sign along with Gemini that's already furthest north of the equator, the moon will be out of bounds north, rising further north of east than sun ever can, setting further north of west than sun ever can, and in the northern hemisphere sky, climbing to a greater altitude than sun ever can. Right, southern hemisphere lower. So like when you look at the sun, your body is facing wherever on earth the sun is directly overhead. And that's always between the tropics. The sun moves 6 months from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Tropic of Cancer, then stops and turns around. Okay, sun stops, that's solstice. Turnaround, that's tropics, tropicos. And then heads south for 6 months. And just like that, every year the sun is back from the Tropic of Capricorn at southern extreme to the Tropic of Cancer, and then to Capricorn again, right? Well, the moon does that journey every month. Zodiac does that every day, and that's beyond the scope of our Follow the Moon jam. But I just want to say it's massively important to know about out of bounds. They help us break out. So as I'm facing the moon right now, or here, let me center this moon. As you're facing the moon right now, we are facing wherever on earth the moon is directly overhead, like in this moment, okay? And wherever that is, and I'm like casting a map on my phone right now. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. It's in the South Pacific, but like over water. The closest landmass, I guess, would be Fiji. But regardless, the moon in this moment is overhead a place on Earth that is south of the Tropic of Capricorn, in a place where sun could never go. That is out of bounds. And as I said before, the moon is only going to get more and more out of bounds over the course of the next few nights as she gets to her southern bending, the point that square her lunar nodes in the most southern degrees of the zodiac, early Capricorn. All right. That's a lot to say. That's pretty technical. Typically when I teach these things, I like to show a lot of animations and a lot of images of the globe, and on we go. But for those of you who are starting to speak this language, hopefully that presented a few more seeds that will sprout in your astro garden. Thanks for spending some time with me and mine. See you in space, friends.